Welcome to the Fashion Translator. I'm Claire, your host. Together we explore how AI and innovation are reshaping the fashion industry through creativity, technology, and global partnership. For today's episode, I'm thrilled to welcome Jaclyn Brautigam, founder of Fordham Fashion, a consulting platform helping designers and emerging brands navigate sales, retail strategy, and growth. Jaclyn, thank you for joining me today. Could you start by introducing yourself and share a bit more about Fordham Fashion?
Yeah, hi Claire. I'm so excited to be here. I think it's a great opportunity, and Fordham Fashion is something that I built over the years from all of my experience working in the fashion industry. It's a place where I help designers, I do business consulting, help with wholesale strategy, merchandising. So, really, anything you need in order to take your fashion business to the next level.
Tell us a bit more about what inspired you to build this. What is the soul of your company?
So, the soul of my company is really that I wanted to build something that was just for me and something that I knew was missing in the industry that could really help others. So I was inspired just from all the hard workers in my life and just being able to see how the fashion industry runs and how it could be different. So for me, I think it's so important to be supportive to designers because they don't always have that business background and really
Yeah.
share knowledge is something that I think is just so important because it's not seen. And I see all these beautiful collections, and then designers are like, how do I get it out there? How do I sell it? So that's really like something special and something what I really like to work on is working with those designers and helping them do that.
And between your background and your perspective and what you've been seeing from the designers you work with so far, what are some key steps that help you transition and build towards this more advisory and consulting?
Yeah, I think for me, key steps have really been like taking every experience that I've had. So whether that be education, I went to FIT, for instance, so that was a great background for me. And then working in all different parts of the industry. So I was in wholesale to begin with, and I worked at Steve Madden. Then I worked at Reebok for a little bit, and worked in showrooms as well. And I also taught fashion design. So I'm pulling from all these different areas and really bringing everything together and sharing it with designers. And that's what's important to me is really just sharing that knowledge and doing it in a way that everybody can understand. So there's no one way to get there or one way to do things. That's something that I really believe in. And I think that's something a lot of entrepreneurs are able to experience, right? Like you have your ebbs and
Yeah.
flows, your ups and downs. As long as you're able to keep moving forward, there's a solution some way, somehow for you to grow your business or get to that next goal that you have.
Yeah, I think that's a great perspective. You mentioned like there's no one way to get there, and I think like this is very true because those are two side of that needs to be coming together. You're like
Sure.
education, learning, the strategy, everything, the theory, but also to merge it with the individuality of the designers or the brand per se.
I agree. Yeah, it all has to you don't realize it in the beginning sometimes, right? You're like, why am I writing this paper? Or why am I in this crazy work scenario right now? But then you look back on it, and you're like, oh, that actually really helped me, or that helped me get to this point in my business, or now I know exactly what to do in this scenario. So just building off all of that, and I think is something that has helped make my business successful.
And by bringing this perspective of like marketing, sales, growth, and to the designers that can be sometimes more focused on product development or design or these side of things, how do you see this knowledge and this perspective impacting the fashion ecosystem in a broader sense?
Yeah, no, I think it's important because I think, designers are in their lane, merchants are in their lane, and we all have to kind of come together because, or at least share that knowledge, especially on that emerging designer side where your team is
Yeah.
small. So I think it's just when designers come to me and they see what they have to do, it could be really overwhelming at first. And they're like, oh my goodness, I didn't know like all these other steps happened after the production and the manufacturing and everything that they just went through. But I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of steps, but you can do it and you can get there. And I think just breaking those steps down and being
Yeah.
clear about what's the most important and, setting different goals. So, like, you know what, in 3 months, if you're here, that's great. If you're not, we're going to reevaluate and we're going to get you there in another way. But the idea is just that they understand their business, because I think it's so important. You have to understand that business side of everything happening so they can be profitable and they can keep growing their brand and keep coming out with new collections. Just being super clear with them on that and helping them understand that in any way possible.
Yeah, I think as a designers, if you have this level of support and you feel like someone has your back, and if you have questions or if you're not sure, there is someone that is there to support you, and not only to educate and enlighten, but also like hold you accountable and help you move forward with your
Sure.
goals.
Definitely. That
And
accountability part is in all areas of life, doesn't it? Sometimes if you want to just like reach that next thing, if you tell someone like, I want to book this trip even, and you don't book the trip, you have someone checking in on you. It's the same thing with business and design.
yeah, it's a big part. It's a big part of what helps you move forward. If you know, like if you have these meetings, okay, next week I have my homework, so I need to reach to this stage,
Right.
and it
Right.
can really makes a difference at the end of the day. And you
Mhm.
mentioned that you brought to light a lot of facets that actually designers were not aware of. What would you say are the top facet of the business that is new for designers and they're welcoming your support?
Yeah. I think a lot of designers don't realize the process that goes into selling B2B. So business to business. And they come to me a lot for experience, because that's a lot of my experience is from wholesale and really talking to retailers and getting brands in there and helping them understand how these conversations work. So for me, when they're like, I just want to get my collection in this store, this boutique, or it be seen throughout the world, I'm like, that's a great goal. I love that. And I want you to get there. But at the same time, we have to put all of these other things into place. So for instance, having a returns policy, a shipping
Yeah,
policy, uh, and then making sure you have the inventory to support it, and correct line sheets and lookbooks to look at, and making sure everything makes sense for the seasons that we're in, and following that fashion calendar to a sense too, depending on what their product is. Accessories are a little bit more lenient, but as
yeah,
far as clothing, if you're doing to wear, you really have to stick to that calendar a little more. But at the same time, I think we're in an interesting phase in fashion where things are
yeah.
changing a little. Time they're becoming a little bit more circular and kind of creating their own lanes, which I love to see too. And I think that's great for especially the small designers out there, to create one collection as opposed to two or four a year. It's amazing. I think that's something that we need in fashion because there's so much out there, and we should be producing things that are intentional.
Yeah, I completely agree. There is so many emerging brands and emerging designers that have a huge contribution to bring, like their voice, their perspective, their talent. There's a we gain a lot actually if they reach out there and they manage to make
True.
to carve their space. We have so much to gain by more diversity in the fashion landscape.
Hmm. Yeah, we definitely do. And another thing that just comes to mind is with designers right now, I feel like they kind of set up their business just for them, right? And them
Mm.
making profit. So another thing that comes to mind is just pricing and margins. That's something that you have to do at a different level with wholesale. So you're getting a profit off selling it to somebody else still at a lower price. So another thing just to keep in mind if you're a designer, is be mindful of your margins, and you got to be profitable to keep going and build that business.
Tell us a bit more about the portfolio of service or the different support level or experience that the designers can expect when they join your consultancy service.
Yeah, sure. For me, I like to make things very customizable. I usually hop on a call with a designer at first, and I kind of see like, okay, what do they need most? Why are they here? What's the first thing that comes to mind? And let's make sure that we're a fit for each other. I think that's the most important thing
Yeah.
because we have to have a conversation so we feel good about moving forward. And I know I can help you with what you're looking for, and also you feel good about working with me and my experience and what I bring to the table. So first is just alignment in general, and then second, as far as things that I help designers with the most, it's really like strategy and being clear on what their next move can be. So
Mhm.
if you feel stuck in your business, whether you're small or big, that's where I come in. I'm really like your innovative problem solver, right? And I'm like,
Okay.
okay, let's see what can we do next. So that's something that's great that I can do with you, and I can build a whole strategy plan, and we can work together for 6 months, a year. It really depends on how you're looking to grow. And then another avenue is really setting up your wholesale business. So
Mm.
I know I've been talking about wholesale, but it's just another revenue stream that you can build for your business. It's a
Yeah.
way to get exposures in different retailers, right? And you can sell your product all over the world, which is great. And you can be discovered by other people in this way that would have never found you. So really setting their whole business up for that and giving them the support that they need and introducing them to some new retailers. Those are like the two areas I work really well in. And then people come to me sometimes for merchandising or brand strategy. So I really do cover like that whole business aspect depending on what you need. But those have been like the two areas that have been super helpful for designers that I work with.
It's true that wholesale is often an avenue that designers won't think of to start with, but it can be great for them to explore that. And you mentioned that your background was in wholesale, but with like much bigger company rather than emerging one. What are some aspects that you were able to leverage for the small designers or emerging brand? And what are other aspects going from bigger brand that you had to shift or adapt for this new vertical?
Yeah, I think there's so much to unpack here in that question, but the most important would probably be just seeing everything at such a high level, right? And seeing it like a
Yeah.
corporation level, and I've seen it at like a small business level and even like a mid tier level. So bringing all of that together and understanding like what works best across the board, whether no matter the
Yeah.
size of your business, and giving and really giving and sharing with the designers like what that is. So for instance, like I need to get into a showroom and I need to show my product there, and they're going to help me sell it and get into all these stores. But getting into a showroom can be really expensive. It could be $10,000 a month in New York. So, and there's no guarantee. So, as a small designer, are you willing to gamble $10,000 a month to maybe get your product somewhere? My answer is always no. I always say do it
Yeah.
yourself first, or try to do it yourself, or create your own small team. So that's something that I've seen. I've seen designers invest in that and fail within my career, working in showrooms, or I've seen, how I can help them in different ways, or I've seen other people within the industry that have worked and done this for designers. So that's why I think it's important. So they know there's other avenues, and really to use that and use technology to your advantage these days. I mean, between all the outreach you can do, use your social media, use your LinkedIn connections, right? Like use whatever you have the power to get to the people that you need to and the brands that you want to be a part of, do a partnership with, collab with, and just connect with, because I think that's just so important. And it's how you can really grow. It's how I've grown a lot of my businesses and made connections this year. So
I think things are shifting and are shifting much faster. Like this goes back to what you were saying about having a personalized approach to strategy and growth and marketing, because not only going per brand or per designers, but per year or even per month. Right now with AI and everything that's going on, things are shifting incredibly rapidly. And the strategy that worked perfectly fine 1 year ago already needs to be adapted. And this is going to be a constant change and evolution
Right.
that we're living in.
Exactly. It's not going to change. We're going to have to just keep up with it, right? And keep shifting and
Yes.
moving. I think being flexible and being okay with change is super important as you grow your brand or your business, depending on what you do in this industry.
Yeah, I think, and for designers to have someone in their corner that they know keep up with these new strategies and these new tools and these new approach, and being able
Yeah.
to kind of bridge the changes and the ever moving landscape with your own business. I think that's an incredible asset for them.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just so important to do that. And a lot of I would say like the designers that I work with, I when I hop on a call with them, I tell them one thing that I really connect on compared to just working with like another business strategist out there about it is I'm like, I know how to design. I understand the
Yeah,
production process. I've taught coding lessons, I've taught fashion design.
yeah,
So that's just part of my background that I can resonate with them and I understand like, you're stuck. Like you can't, you're like, I have half the collection the other part and I need that done before I can do this. And I was like, I get it. Like everybody has their roadblocks. It's like same thing as a writer, right? When they have their writing roadblock and they can't finish the book or the chapter.
yeah,
So I think having that background has really helped me make these connections with all the designers out there and the brands because they're like, okay, she gets it. She understands, but she can also
yeah.
teach me business and she to me in the way that I'm going to understand it. So that's been huge for me.
I think when you speak to someone who can relate and who's been in your shoes or has walked the same path, there's an energy to it. You
Right.
feel that this person understands you, and right away the level of trust is just next. It's so much deeper because of that.
Yeah. 100%, I agree. You can feel it.
Yeah. So when it comes to your business, which area has most of your focus right now?
My biggest focus right now is probably just making sure I'm putting out the work that I'm proud of. Like for me, I'm never gonna not work with a client and not give them my 100%. So I think
Yeah,
that's kind of where my focus always is. And then I'm always looking to grow. So I think growth is always happening in the background in my business while I'm doing that for everybody else. So that's
yeah.
something that I focus on. I like to make sure when I'm looking for new clients or seeing like what category my business might be missing that I want to work with, I'm reaching out to people who would fit, what I'm looking for. And I'm really curating it in a sense. I'm looking for a certain client or customer, just like they're looking for a certain business partner to work with. It's the same on my end. So I think that's what's always happening right now for me.
Somehow like a pioneer, you're walking first the path that you then want to take your client with you, oh, I've been there, I've done that, come, I know how it goes.
That's funny. Yeah. I mean, of course I want to help as many as I can, but I think for me, I like to do like all different things, right? So I enjoy accessories. I enjoy clothing. I enjoy jewelry. And I've gotten to work with all of these types of brands. So I'm like, okay, I just worked with a clothing brand. Maybe I'll look for an accessory brand next, or, like just to put in my pipeline of work. So that's what I mean. I always like to work on different projects. I like to be busy and, work with all different types of brands, as opposed to like being in one lane. Like I don't just stick to one thing. So I think that's
Hmm.
important. And it just
It
keep
keeps
going. And also I get to learn, about like what the trends are for each industry. So that's great too.
and it keeps your horizon open as well to have this diverse.
Definitely.
And if you
Yeah, I
could
agree with that.
automate, if you could automate one part of your business, which one would it be?
I can automate one part of my business.
Yeah.
Honestly, for me, I think it would be social media and posting and making sure my brand is out there because sometimes that will fall to the back burner for me just because I end
Yeah.
up doing client work and I'm like, let me respond to these emails. But you have to keep everything flowing, right? And let people know what
Yeah.
you're doing and where you are. So that's something that of course there are tools to automate it, but if I could hand that off to somebody else, I would like fully do it. I'm not there yet, but that would be something that I would fully automate and give someone free reign on and build up for me.
Where with social media that you're mentioning is where I really see that this is something that's gravitating more and more towards the connection, with not only with the
Mhm.
current customers, but the people in general and out there. And as things are getting more and more automated or handed over by technology to have this presence, I see what you mean, that this is the way where people can still connect with with you. You can put content that are about you, about your brand, and this yeah, I do see this still being very relevant and important as we go forward.
Yeah, and just like client discovery happens a lot within that channel. So for me,
Yeah.
it's a high touch point right now. So it's not something that I'm willing to, hand over, but it's also something that I'm using daily in the background. I might
Yeah.
not be posting daily, but I'm in DMs and I'm talking to brands, or I'm on LinkedIn and I'm reaching a new connection within the industry, that a retailer that might be looking for a specific brand or anything. It's endless. I've really been able to open my network, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah. Yes, there's great opportunities there as well. So if we look at the next 4 to 5 years, what's the next growth phase for that fashion?
Yeah, the next 4 to 5 years. The business plan changes every year, or not every minute, but it's quarterly, it's still changing, right? Depending on what's happening.
So let's say
But
the
within
next year. What's in the next year?
the next year, let's see. Next year, I think for me, it's just continuing to grow in the direction that I'm going. So I've been loving all the experiences that I've had with these designers. So continuing to find great clients, continuing to expand my network and my reach within New York and all over the world, and making sure I'm going to relevant industry events and
Yeah.
connecting with people. Because I mean, I've made so many great connections. I've met new clients. I've met people that have referred me clients, and I've met people that are just incredible in the industry. And then I see them at the next event. So things like that, I think, are super important. And for me, it's really just creating a whole like fashion community where
Yeah.
we're able to share knowledge. I feel like everything is like very behind the scenes. They don't show you everything. Everybody loves this industry, but we're not always sharing
Yeah.
how you can best be it, or how you can use it. So for me, it's that, and putting out that educational aspect to it. So something I love to do is teach, and you'll find that as you work with me, I'm here to like be on the side, help you, and teach you the best ways to do this. As far as consulting, yeah. But at the end, if you don't understand something, I'm going to try and explain it in another way. It's just like my nature of it. I've always loved that. It's something that I've always done. So just bringing, everything full circle on continuing to grow and making sure it's a community that people feel welcome in and want to come to and work with me in any capacity that I can, because I'm here to help, and I'm here to help the fashion industry grow in a new way that I feel can, and be good and not
I
be.
couldn't agree more. Really, I really also
Yeah.
have this sense that the fashion industry is really ready for more connection, more collaboration,
Yeah.
for us to be stronger together and share more. I understand not everything can be shared, but there's definitely more connection that
Right.
can happen, and all brands and designers and other professionals of the fashion industry that are supporting brands can also elevate their own business by just bringing this visibility and this connection. I think keeping a hand on the pulse of what's going on in the industry is very crucial
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, it's just like it's growth. It's making sure Fordham Fashion continues to go in the right direction, and then creating a community around it, because I've gotten a lot of great experiences, like I said, from going to events or whatever it may be within the industry. So I just want to continue to make sure that circle's there for everyone. And I think that's something that we connected on when we first met. We talked about like our initial conversation. We were just
Yeah.
talking about like, we want the fashion industry to change a little bit. We want to make sure there's resources out there. We want to make sure there's a
Yes.
sense of community with the competition, because there's room for everybody to do it.
There is.
It's just we have to in a different way, and we have to, whatever it is, if you're using technology in your business and you're more AI focused, that's amazing. And you're using that to create patterns for someone, and that's your business. I love that. I love that there's all these different sectors that we could do, or you're upcycling from dead stock fabric. There's just so many
Yeah.
avenues. So I want people to
There's
know
so
that,
much space. Yeah, there's so much space
yeah, there
for
exactly.
each
There's
of these
space.
designers to take their place. I think the key is going to be in
Yeah,
the individuality, and for each one of these brands or designer to really own it. I'm doing this, so go all in.
yeah,
Take the supports you need and just take your space and make your mark. And there is space for each one of these designers that will go all out and are ready to share, because ultimately, even if you think about two sustainable brand or two sustainable designers, like both of them will not be doing it exactly the same. Each one of them has their own unique angle too, and it will be richer for it. The fashion industry will just be
totally.
more diverse and enriched by everyone that is willing to take this step and present
Yeah,
themselves and their full authenticity.
yeah, I agree. That's 100%. Like you're on the money with that one.
I think we're a few, more than a few, we're more and more of us that are connecting together that have this vision for the fashion industry. It's going to be very exciting to see, that's for sure, where thing goes, both for the fashion industry, but also for you and for Fordham Fashion. For sure, we'll be keeping an eye. So you have generously
Yeah.
offered a discount code for all the listeners who would like to sign up for your services. All the details and handle everything will be linked in the bio for whomever wants to connect with Jaclyn. Jaclyn, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a very insightful conversation.
Thank you, Claire. It was wonderful. I loved sharing a little about my business and just being able to talk to you because you're just such a great person in the fashion industry, and I'm glad we connected.
Thank you so much, Jaclyn.